Welcome to B.A.Showoff, the dance lifestyle podcast. I'm Becky.
And I'm Alexandra. And whether you're a dance coach, dance parent, or a dancer yourself, this is the show for you. Today, we're going to be speaking with the LSU assistant coach, Londyn Daniel.
Welcome, Londyn. Thank you for being here with us today.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
I'm so excited to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you. So let's start off talking about you and who you are and how you got started in the dance team world.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Louisiana, so from a smaller town near Baton Rouge, and kind of just grew up dancing, studio dance, and high school came around, and we have a pretty good program. My sister currently still is the coach of the dance team that we were both on, so kind of get to go back and pop in, and I still do their game day choreo, try to stay connected with them. St. Thomas Aquinas and Hammond. We competed at UDA Nationals all 4 years that I was there, and by the time I was a senior captain, just totally into it, knew that dance was definitely going to be a part of my life in the next phase. So I kind of throughout high school was always college dance in some capacity. Started going to clinics, really only LSU clinics, which is, I guess we'll talk about that in a separate portion of this, but it was no other school for me for forever. Both of my siblings went to LSU, so I was going to, we have two dance teams at LSU, so Golden Girls and Tiger Girls. One is more associated with the band, and then Tiger Girls are under athletics. And my sister actually was a Golden Girl, so that was kind of what I thought I was wanting to do. Just, either avenue was kind of interesting to me. So just going to both clinics, seeing if competing and competition aspect was something that I wanted to continue. And I would say around my junior year, it was definitely like, okay, this is like something I'm passionate about. To continue like being on the UDA stage, that was always something that was like the best time of year, like watching the Tiger Girls at Nationals. It was just so crazy to watch them. So yeah, I kept going to Tiger Girl clinics, and by my senior year, I was like, okay, this is it. Literally didn't apply to any other school. It was literally LSU, or I was going to figure it out after that. So I tried out. We were under a tryout process when I tried out, so no recruitment yet. Had a 3-day tryout. By the third day, I became a Tiger Girl, and that was crazy to me. I was like, what is going on right now? It was kind of just like a whirlwind, dream come true. Candace, actually, head coach, was one of my teachers at my home studio in Hammond, which is like full circle, kind of like many years later we're reconnecting. She was on the dance team in Hammond, so she was a teacher at my studio. I grew up a few years with her being my dance teacher, so the fact that she was the coach, I was like, oh my gosh, like haven't seen this woman since I was 7 years old, and tried out, and it worked out for me, which was insane. And then spent 4 years on that team, and went through definitely some interesting like peaks and pits, and just the journey of all that, with COVID being my junior year of my college experience. It was definitely an experience to just, go through that. I feel like we definitely made strides in the program while I was there, which I'm super grateful. I feel like I was like part of history in that way. And then my senior year, finishing it out with 22 like boy, I was like contemplating maybe a 5th year, but after that one, I was like, no, we're good.
Yeah, walk away.
We're walking. We're good. We got the result that we wanted. So, yeah, that was a crazy way to go out. After that, I was like, how do I, obviously, dance still wants to be in my life, but how does that happen? I explored different type of avenues, I would say. NFL was definitely something that I was interested in, but didn't really know how that fit into what I wanted in the next phase. I've always, kept teaching, whether it was studio. I teach at a local studio in Baton Rouge still. And obviously I started Tribe while I was in college as well. So kind of teaching was definite passion of mine, but I wasn't sure if my dance journey was like over and done with. So I kept kind of looking into what that would look like. As soon as I graduated, I kind of was like, after that graduation, post-graduation blues, you're like, what are we doing here? What is life? Do I even know who I am? Not sure yet. So I definitely went through that rut that I feel like is pretty common when you're getting out of that college dance, super competitive college dance team program, just trying to figure out that next phase. So yeah, I just kind of went into the next year still living in Baton Rouge, not really sure what was going to come from it. Kept teaching, kept doing traveling jobs, tribe jobs, and stuff like that. And eventually Candace was like, you know what, if you want to just come help, that would be great. That was when Peyton, the assistant coach, had moved to Washington State. So there was kind of a opening in that sort of area. She definitely needed help with just running, whether it was game day or nationals. So she was definitely in the market for someone to come in and just help where they could. So I kind of filled that role and as best as I could, and came and did some like volunteer, just like, you know, whether it was choreo here, games here, stuff like that. Went to nationals with them that year. And then by the following year, the university officially hired me, and I'm going on my 4th year being the assistant coach and recruitment coordinator. So somehow life worked out. Yeah. I don't know. I enjoy what I do. I love what I do. It's a real passion of mine. And then as well, I still travel with Tribe and do choreo, and, you know, whether it's tour stops with Tribe that, you know, we go and educate the younger generation of like what happens after high school and their options and the opportunities that are after high school. I love educating the next generation on that, as well as, you know, teaching choreo for UDA competition. So
when you auditioned for LSU, it wasn't recruitment, it was tryouts. So you've seen the difference in the two. What do you like better, and what's the better of, you know, recruiting like you're doing now? Why is it better, and why have you guys stuck to that?
Yeah, I think they're two obviously totally completely different processes. Tryouts were definitely, again, you see how I was talking about my tryout process. It was kind of like, oh, we'll see what happens. I feel like recruitment is just, it can be a lot more daunting just because you have to start so early. So it's almost like you are building up for your entire 4 years for the most part. By the time these, you know, kids are starting, they're freshmen in high school. They're just starting their lives, right? They don't even know, but they're forced to know so quickly, because it is such a longer process than I feel like the tryout model was. Tryout model was just, you kind of show up, you go to clinics, but if they like you, and tryout, you'll find out in the next 3 days. This recruitment process is like years and years of just building relationship, which has so many pros, but also I feel like it's just a longer process, a lot more pressure, maybe, if that's the right word for it. But we enjoy recruitment because I feel like we can definitely get to know the kids. We watch them grow up essentially for 3-4 years that they're in high school. So it's nice to see their growth, not only as individuals, but as dancers as well. Every time they're coming back to clinics, it's just, they've definitely been training. So every time we kind of see these kids next, it's like, dang, we see the progress. And those are definitely individuals that we want on our team, because that is what we're looking for, progress each and every year, and just how do we get better and better. So those types of people who come back to us and you can tell they're just hungry, it's like those are going to be successful people on our team.
So if a kid is looking at LSU and they're like, that's my dream. I mean, you guys are one of the top schools that kids are looking for if they want to be in a dance team. What should they be doing, and what are you actually looking for in the dancer?
Yeah. Training as much, I mean, it's such a generic and I feel like popular answer, but definitely training in all of the styles that we compete in / you know, game day is a huge part of our school. Traditional, we teach it at every clinic, like it's never going anywhere. That's like, again, 90% of, probably more, 95% of what our year consists of is game day, and we do teach that when they get to us, so it's not something we necessarily expect, but we do like for them to just have a general knowledge of what we do at game. Our game day style's super different than other schools, I would say. It's just very southern and big, and definitely more leaning towards the like NFL pro style, I would say. And so definitely kind of having a base knowledge, but definitely excelling in jazz and hip hop, just movement quality in both. I think the thing that we always say is like star quality is something that just instantly you can connect with a dancer if they are their most confident, like they stand out in a room of, I mean, we're having 200 plus dancers in our clinics at this point. So if a dancer can stand out immediately and kind of grab our attention, and I mean, we all know those dancers, you're watching them, you're like, can't take your eyes off of them. Those are the people that we're like, those are going to fit well on this team. So definitely movement quality, performance quality is such a huge part of what we do, and just like the entertaining factor, as well as like technique, all of the things that are, going to make a great recruit great. But we just say as many things as you can pull in your wheelhouse and have to show, whether it's being super tricky or leggy or turny, like whatever your strengths are, like be well at that. Do that very well. So we're not expecting you to be great at everything, but definitely showing that there is training in all of those avenues, I would say.
And for dancers who don't perform now, or they're not on a dance team in high school because their school doesn't have it, so they're just studio based, they don't know as much as the ones that are on dance teams. So what should they do to get more that dance team style?
Yeah, honestly, if you ask any of the Tiger Girls or the coaching staff, there are girls who were never even on a dance team, and they mainly just train studio. So this is my PSA to everyone: stay in the studio. That is where your training happens, and I feel like everybody in the dance team world will really have to agree with that, just because there's not enough time in the dance team, like practices and stuff. You're focusing on cleaning. That is not an upkeep of your technique. So I would say if you're at a studio that is like continues to like clean routines, and you kind of have that clean brain that you can adjust well and fix well when trying to dance in a group, I feel like that's kind of great experience in itself. I wouldn't say like dance team is a necessity to making a college dance team, especially if there's better training elsewhere. I think it's great to be involved in a school and just kind of have that under your belt, but if that's not like the best avenue for you where you're at in your town or where you live at, I don't think that's necessarily like a game changer or deal breaker that you're not on a dance team in high school.
A lot of dancers, they worry about the palm technique, because that, you don't get that in a dance studio. So what should they do to get a little bit of that palm technique?
Yeah. I think honestly, when we're traveling with either tribe events or any similar events to that, we do teach palm at all of those stops. So even getting those like few classes where you can, that's definitely a great way to get some exposure, because it is such a foreign style to like so many of these dancers, especially even if they are on high school dance teams. Some of them have still never done palm nor game day. So I think specifically with those, and we don't compete in palm, so I guess it might be a little bit different than somebody who competes palm at UDA. We believe that we can like train and we can teach it later on. So as long as you have that foundation of like, which way your motions are going, like we can definitely work with.
Yeah, I know that I've seen some dance studios have started to have palm technique class in there, so that, kids could go in there. And I think it's great if, studios have the time, even if it's like once a month class, I think it's awesome. But I know that that's a worry that I hear from a lot of the kids, which is why I started doing game day, was to help them, let's get that palm technique in your hands so that you guys know what to do. It's not something that's easy.
Yeah.
They grab those palms and they're like, what do I do with this?
Yeah, absolutely.
They hold it wrong, and so it's a little bit of training, but I know that that's a big worry for, and I know you're starting to do game day too because of that.
This year we're starting to do game day for that reason, because I know that a lot of my kids are starting to show interest in college team, and so many of these college teams, I feel like one thing that could potentially help them stand out is the fact that they do have that palm technique. They become more well-rounded.
Absolutely.
They do jazz, they do hip-hop, that's great, but then also palm. And it just opens up their doors to other schools now too.
For sure.
Because like places like Ohio State, one of their primary styles is palm. So, somebody who's never had that experience, it might be a little bit harder for them to make that team.
Yeah.
Now for these studio kids that you are also looking into, some of them might not be aware of, places like Tribe 99, Combines, and things like that to go and explore. Where are some other places that you go to recruit that maybe aren't geared towards dance team, like maybe like studio competitions, things like that?
So this year I actually had the opportunity to go to Hollywood Vibe Nationals, so I think it's really cool. I feel like this summer is kind of like, I feel like Dance Awards kind of started it last summer, and now there's a lot of conventions that are starting to, invite and implement like college dance teams or like college programs, just different avenues for dancers after high school, after that high school level. So I got to go to Orlando this year and kind of do like, they had a full like audition process, Q&A panel. It was a really cool opportunity for those kids specifically that maybe they've only been in the convention world, and that's really where they go for their training, to start almost opening their eyes to like, okay, there are different avenues. And I feel like before there was this like stigma of like, oh, you're a studio dancer versus a dance team dancer. I feel like those worlds are meshing now, which is what absolutely needs to happen. And it's so exciting to see because you can do all, and that's the versatility. You should be able to do all, and that is a great recruit, in my opinion, is someone who can do all, who can go to the conventions on the weekends, but also like pick up a pair of pom-poms, right? So like I definitely think that the convention world is starting to like open up to potential like just opportunities of like what else is out there, because not every kid is going to want to graduate and move straight to LA.
Yeah, and I think that the dance convention world is starting to see that dance teams, that the dancers are real dancers, that it's not cheerleading. So I think that they're starting to open their eyes and say, okay, let's bring this in, because so many kids are interested in now. I mean, it really has, blown out of this world. To me, LSU has always been up there on the top. I mean, I remember, many, many, many years ago, just watching hip hop dances at UDA of LSU, and every year it being like, a step ahead of everybody. Was like, oh my gosh, look what they did this year, look what they did. And I remember they would take off their shirts and they would be like these amazing
That's what she liked best.
Yes.
The taking off the shirt.
Yeah, and they would have these rock hard abs, and you'd be like, wow, look at people wouldn't even think about going on that team if they didn't have a six pack. But it's always been there. The hip hop style that they've had has always been top notch, and kids have known that. But it's kind of been like a little closed door of you can't really go there if you're a real dancer, because that's still cheerleading. And I love that people have finally seen like, no, you've got to be a real dancer, you've got to have the technique, you've got to be able to do everything to be on these dance teams, and kids want to do it. They really want to be a part of it.
I think it's evolved too in dance team, like even just the style of what you see on stage now. It's not tricks and we have legs, we have tricks, we have all of that, but now it's so much more focused on the visuals, the style, the dancing, who can come with the next big thing, and it's not as focused now. So I think that's why the worlds are meshing so much, because dance teams starting to appreciate the style aspect of it more. How can you play with that and stand out with style? And these studio competitions and these conventions are starting to understand exactly what you said, that so many kids want to explore a dance team. At the end of the day, we're opening up opportunity for all of these kids now. And showing them, you can go to LA, you can go to New York, you can go to college for dance, you can also be on a dance team. There's so many other avenues you can
kids
take.
want to go, they want to dance after high school, but some of them don't want to necessarily go straight into the professional world. They want the college experience. So here you get a little bit of both, which is great.
And exposure. Because now so many choreographers are coming in to all of these college dance teams that can get you to the next level.
Yeah, that's a separate part too. I feel like we had a big 3-day clinic this past summer, and just the people that we that were interested in even coming is like, oh my gosh, like the worlds are meshing. And like I feel like people that you wouldn't even think are interested in like tapping their foot into this world, it's just like people who are choreographing for teams now is just like all of the world is just like those two worlds are just combining, and it's really cool to see. And I feel like it's definitely gonna continue to propel college dance in the upwards direction that it's been going the past couple of years, for sure.
And I think these amazing choreographers appreciate when they get the opportunity to work with a dance team, because it's something so different that they're not used to. They're still gonna be creative, but okay, I got 2 minutes, and in those 2 minutes, they can't take people off the stage.
You have to keep moving.
You've got to keep moving. It's got to have visuals. It's got to have there's so much that goes into it that they don't normally do. That for artists, it's cool to out of your norm. I'm gonna figure out how I can be artistic and still have something epic and not do what I always do. So I think that they appreciate this is something different, that I could still do my thing.
Yeah.
So you were part of the LSU Like a Boy dance, which was so iconic for so many reasons. It was the beginning of right when we got back from COVID, and it was also, it had such a deep meaning behind it. So can you talk to us a little bit about what that year's experience leading up to that was, and how that's kind of stayed with you since?
Yes. So the previous year, obviously COVID's hitting, we're all being told we have to go home, and that was obviously devastating, because we kind of, it was like around springtime that we had to go home and just go to online school, and that kind of followed us into the next year. And we were told essentially we weren't sure if we were going to be able to. A lot of stuff was just up in the air, and they officially were like, tiptoeing around for a little bit, and then they were like, it's not going to happen. And that was obviously really heartbreaking to hear, because that's why we're all here, right? Like, obviously we love LSU, we love the school, we love the game day. It's all part of the experience, but we're here to compete, and that's what our passion is. So very difficult to hear. We didn't stop at that, though, as I'm sure, I feel like that's what kind of like started the whole, how big Like a Boy got, is just like the prep work of it all is just like, felt like we just were like, no, we're not accepting this answer, and we're going to like continue to, at least if we can't go to nationals, if that's not the result, okay, well, let's make the result something different. And it's bringing attention, bringing awareness to like just the very obvious fact of like dance not being appreciated at many levels, but whether it's high school, college, anywhere, like that support that you're giving every other team, we also would love to have it too, because we put in equal amounts of work, effort, time, energy, all of the things. We've been training our lives just as much as any other sport has. So felt like the conversation that we knew needed to happen was just like to bring that awareness to whoever, anybody in the dance world, anybody out of the dance world. And I think that's when it really started, was when we just had people who knew nothing about dance. They were just getting interested. And that's really what kind of made people start to be like, oh, yeah, dancers, they probably don't get a lot of recognition, and they probably are forgotten about a lot. So I think that previous year is kind of what started making people kind of be like, raising an eyebrow, and like we started a like petition for people to like sign and share their own opinions, and everybody's kind of like getting on the same bandwagon of like, yeah, dancers need more support, women need more support, female athletes like need to be supported by their university, their school, whatever it is. So definitely started the year before. So going into choreo that next year, I think Carson and Sammy were obviously wanting something that was going to be very, personal and relatable to us, because, we were on fire. There was nothing stopping us that year, obviously, getting that taken away the previous year. So we were like going back and forth between a couple options, and they were like, I think this makes the most sense for what we just all went through. Everybody was involved. It was like a full, so many people got on the bandwagon of what we were trying to accomplish. And
I remember Sammy did a whole video, and people were petitioning, and she did. I remember it was very cool. It was very inspirational.
Yeah, people from, obviously Sammy being so close to the program, but like people close to it, away from it, like everybody was just rallying to like see, even again, if it wasn't the result of us going to the competition, at least moving forward, can we progress this program, and can we continue to just make it better and get more opportunity? And that's something that Candace was really passionate about too, was like every year, even now that we are still competing, every year, like how can we push this boundary of like us continuing to get equal opportunity? I feel like that's always going to be there, just because of the obvious part of our sport is not, and doesn't make a whole lot of income to a university. So we're definitely, I'm getting a little sidetracked, I know. Let me put it back to Like a Boy. Okay, so yeah, choreo that year was definitely, they were wanting to pick something that was going to propel the story that we were kind of already on. So Like a Boy was, I feel like, the obvious choice at the end of the day. And we were kind of like, we were just going along with it, just happy to have the opportunity, honestly. And I don't think it was, me and Carson were talking about this past weekend, actually. We didn't realize till we got to Orlando and we had done our first performance, and people were like, the reaction of people, we were like, oh, okay, this is kind of good. Like, we weren't sure yet. That's always because you don't let a whole lot of people like see your routine before you get there. We did it at Showoff, and it was, had a great reaction, but we just weren't sure up until we got to after that semis performance, and people were, already like wrapping around, doing the TikTok, like making TikToks, making it a trend, and we were like, what is happening? Like, it just happened so quickly. And I think it was like at nationals that we realized, like, oh, I think we touched a lot of people without even, like, we realized it, but it wasn't until the performance happened and seeing everybody come to finals, and everybody, I'll never forget that, like coming out of the side of the stage, and everyone, no matter if they were any opponents they had all different shirts on, supporting all different schools. People that weren't even there for a school, just like wanting to come and like support us. That was like something I'll never forget. Chanting LSU, like it's engraved in my brain forever. So yeah, we were like, did the fullest of full out for that finals performance. And again, walking down those stairs at the, ESPN, we were walking down to so many people just like cheering and chanting. So I think it was like, at that point we were like, okay, we did something. Whether it was like the exact result we wanted, we made a wave, we made awareness for what we were trying to do. So.
And when you do something controversial or something, borderline or something completely different, you never know.
Yeah.
Especially UDA, you don't know. And that was the scary part. But it's so cool that you guys had a vision. It's not about winning at that moment. It was, we wanted to make a mark. And that's something I think you guys are known for. Is, you guys are going to come out and it's going to be like something totally different. And it's going to be like something people are going to talk about, which I feel like, that sometimes is more important than the win, is that it's memorable.
Yes.
So no matter what I think the outcome would have been, I mean, clearly you guys deserve that win, but no matter what, it was something that people 10 years from now we're still going to be talking about.
Yeah.
And I think that's what probably Sammy and Carson were looking for.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah, really good feeling to see
and
that.
what was it like? Because the year before you guys couldn't compete.
Yeah.
And so you guys went to Monsters, right?
Yes.
So
yes, we went to Monsters. So Carson and Sammy actually still wanted to come in. They still wanted to like have that moment with the current team. Our seniors, that was like their final thing. So we definitely wanted to obviously like keep training, and that was not like a time for us to like take a break and just accept defeat. We were like, no, we're gonna keep training, we're gonna get better, we're gonna do this for our seniors. It's not the UDA stage, but at least we get to work on a routine and kind of have that team experience together. So we literally couldn't even practice at LSU, so we just like created a separate team. It was called Crew LA, and we practiced at the studio that I work at. She's so supportive of us. We'll literally do anything that we need. So she opened up her space and we practiced there, and we got this routine ready for Monsters, and we went to Chicago, competed it. We won, but it was like, it wasn't, again, it was just like more of a keep training. We went and took class together. We got to like, fly, make memories. And
it's a cool experience for you guys. It was something different. And that COVID year, UDA was not UDA. Like it was such a.
I know. I don't even think we watched.
No,
we
couldn't. Was so awkward.
No, and it like I remember people having to like, even the coaches when they were doing like top 3, you'd have to like stand in a square.
Just
what a weird time.
And it was like.
The teams were like, just in little groups, and everybody just there with the masks on, and
they would announce like first place, and it was like 3
we're
people,
like
nobody in there, like, and like it's and they were like, you can't even hug each other. It was so awkward and so like uncomfortable. Like it didn't feel like nationals. Whether you won or not, it wasn't a win or a loss for anybody. It was kind of like, all right, let's just move on from that, and let's not remember it.
It's like a fever dream, honestly.
And then there was like an online, you could like submit online or something.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
a lot of even do that.
But the crazy thing is that you guys got to experience something completely different that you would have never done if that wouldn't have happened. So, I try to always look at positives of things. So you guys got to do something cool, something different that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for COVID. And then the following year, you were like, okay, we're back, and we're going to, we're going to make our mark.
Actually, what's funny about that is in that Monsters dance, the last song was actually Like a Boy, and we could use we did a mix of like real songs. So like our last song in the mix was Like a Boy, and we were just like, oh cool. And then the next year it turned into something completely different. So turned into the whole song, but it kind of like stemmed from there. They were like, oh, this is nice. So next year,
and that was probably cool for Sammy and Carson to do something different, because music wise, that is what a headache you have to deal with all that music stuff, and you didn't have to worry about it. And then that they got to choreograph on a different stage that they're not used to, so it was a great experience for them. So and I'm sure that it just fueled their fire just that much more.
And they're both very passionate about their work.
Very passionate. They were like, this is going to be the best routine that the Monster stage has ever seen, and we did it. There's like no rules. We were doing lifts, and we had a heels section, of course. I came out in some heels. We changed on the side of the stage. We were doing a full production.
I love it.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And that's cool because you would have never done that at
Right,
UDA.
no,
So
yeah, it was.
So did
different.
your recruitment process change there during UDA? Like I'm doing UDA during COVID. That's when you guys went into recruitment.
Yep.
So did you see like a spike in kids interested in LSU because of Like a Boy?
Oh, yes. Yes, I definitely think that was the peak year. Like the next year, it was like crazy the amount of just like interest that it just caught a lot of people's attention. So I feel like that made a lot of people interested. And so yeah, that was like kind of, I feel like the switch for us at least of like when recruitment started, because before that, even like during COVID and stuff, it was like we did a audition on like Zoom or something. Like it was it was like kind of getting into that recruitment, but then that next year was like full recruitment. So yeah, I definitely think there was a spike in people just being interested and starting to come to the school. And I mean, I think pretty much I can say this because I felt the same way, but coming to a clinic, like I feel like it at least pulled their attention to like come and see what was happening in our parts.
Yeah.
And then you get there and you're like, okay, this is like an unforgettable like atmosphere. The school itself is just like a crazy thing to experience, especially if you're not either from Louisiana, not from Louisiana. You go there and it's like, this is just an awesome environment. And then I feel like the Tiger Girls are just known for being positive, great energy. Like there's no competitive energy at the clinics. And so I think once people come, they kind of are like, oh yeah, this is the place. Like you just feel so at home. And that's what we really try to do, is just make everybody who comes to a clinic or to anything that has to do with Tiger Girls, like make them feel like this is the only one and only experience of like, you won't get this anywhere else you go.
And has your recruitment process changed since then? Like, have you found things work, don't work, this will be better for
Absolutely.
us?
I say every year it kind of changes. Because again, we continue to like figure out, okay, that wasn't the best, or even kind of like dependent on how many girls are leaving, how many seniors we have going out, how many new people we can take, and it just kind of depends. Like timeline wise, it's changed. It's gotten earlier and earlier, just because that's just what everybody else is doing. And to stay highly competitive in that recruitment field, I feel like you kind of have to just like keep up with what other programs are doing to stay relevant and kind of compete with them.
Are you guys doing the Common App?
We're not.
No,
we're not.
So you're still sticking to the way you guys apply. So what if somebody wants to go there? What is the process for them?
Yeah. So it's kind of similar, I guess, to what the common dance recruiting is. It's just our own criteria. So it's not just a generalized thing. It's what we've done for the past couple of years. I would say the only thing that's kind of changing is that date just being moved up a little bit more, but it is them going to our website, finding our page of what we're asking for and the criteria that we would like to see in a video, and them just submitting it. And from there, it includes like an information page where they get to fill out a lot of their own information, fill out, what am I trying to say? References. Yep. They fill out references so that we can connect with their current coaches and just, try to get to know them as best as we can if we don't already know them from our clinics. And then they get to film like an intro of themselves, and then they just, follow exactly the dancing portion that we tell them to. So it's like a across the floor, and then we ask for combos and all, jazz and hip hop, and then they have to submit a solo as well so we can see them dancing by themselves. So yeah, from there they submit that, and then we kind of just go into round 2 as we see fit. We usually just make a cut, and then the next round is kind of more one-on-one, us reaching out to recruits, and it's a recruit to recruit basis. So we may again have seen some people coming to our clinics for 3 and 4 years, and we feel like we know them very well, and we know where their head is at, and that this is definitely somewhere that they're interested in going. So their process might look a little bit different than someone we've never seen, but we found on a video, and we're like, oh, we definitely want to take time to like reach out, get to know them. We like to keep in contact like multiple times with people that we don't know, just so we can try to get to know them as best as we can. And for the most part, I feel like everybody in our recruitment process has been to clinics and has met the coaching staff, and we have like a good relationship, which is why I say I enjoy the recruitment process, because for the most part, we know a lot of these kids that are submitting recruitment videos.
Because it's nerve-wracking for these kids.
Yeah.
I mean, even when they know you or they've been to a clinic, they don't know, like, they only want 4 spots. Like, that's it. That's all they're looking for.
Yeah.
Am I good enough? Are they going to pick me? And, like, this is my first choice. So it's very nerve-wracking for these
100%.
kids. So I could see the stress that they go through. But do you recommend that, you know, even if they're, like, you know, not the best, but that they still continue, if they're really interested, they still continue going to those clinics and, you know, go ahead and go? Because some kids will just give up. Some kids will be like, you know what, there's no space for me.
Yeah, I think there's a healthy balance. I think there's a way that you can kind of figure out, like, okay, you just have to kind of, like, I don't know, see how the reciprocation is going with the college coaches. Like, I feel like it's, in some instances, like, you can kind of tell, like, okay, like, that you can tell that this coaching staff likes me, or I feel like I would be a good fit here. So it's just, like, almost being realistic, but not counting yourself out. I think I hear so many times, like, when we're like, oh my gosh, who is this girl? She's amazing. We've never seen her. And someone who's, you know, advocating for them is like, well, she didn't think she was good enough, or she didn't think she could. And I'm like, well, she can. So it's like, we have kids that are like, you know, don't put themselves out there, and then also feel like it's just good to be realistic with, like, okay, you can tell if you're getting invited to games and doing all of these things that, you know, are not
There's
necessarily
interest.
so public, but yeah, that reciprocation of interest is, like, where it's here, and it's more of, like, again, a relationship, which is what I feel like recruitment is. So I feel like there's 2 opposite ends, you know, kids who just think they have no shot, and it's like, you do, though, you're so good and we see it in you. And then, you know, just making sure that you're being realistic of, like, where is actually a good fit for you. Because as good as all of these schools are, there are places that will not be a great fit.
Yeah.
Whether it's the dancing style, the culture, the state that it's in, the weather. Like, these are all things that we talk about constantly. It's not just dance. It's so much more than that. You have to go to school for 4 years.
Yeah.
So if you hate the hot, please don't think that you're coming to Louisiana. It's pretty miserable. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like the schools, like, you know, like Ohio, it snows.
Yeah.
It's really cold over there.
But, like, high school brains don't think that way, because they just see it on the stage and they're like, Ohio is everything and that's my dream school. And it's like, well, have you looked into, do they have your major? Is it financially, you know, possible? And I think that's also another passion of mine, and that's what I get to teach at, like, Tribe tours and stuff. That's why I love going, you know, for those weekend stops or couple day stops, because I get to give seminars on, like, you know, here are all the details, because it is so overwhelming and you don't know how to go about it, especially if you're not in the dance team world or you just have no idea where to start. We kind of, like, break it down where you should be at your freshman, sophomore year is a completely different place than your junior and senior year.
Yeah.
And do you guys look at the dancers' social media? Like, when you're, like, trying to pick dancers, do you go back and see, let's see?
Yes. Yes.
That's something I tell the dancers all the time, and my kids in general, that
I know.
be careful with your social media, because people do go and look.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we definitely do. It's just, you know, again, I feel like this age group versus, like, even me when I was trying out, like, completely different. TikTok was not a thing when I was going to college. So it's just watching, and sometimes they don't even know. I'm like, do you understand that this is probably not the most, you know, we just think, like, the best version of yourself, like, that is what you need to be portraying. And even if there's, like, I know some teams are like, no, even, like, fake accounts or fenced it, like, private, like, not making yourself private to, like, you know, hide stuff, like, being as openly transparent of, like, a genuinely wholeheartedly wholesome individual. Like, I feel like that's just your best bet. Like, keep it clean, keep it professional, because at the end of the day, when you get on that college dance team, that is your expectation, is to keep it clean. And there will be times where our marketing, you know, or admin of sorts are, like, texting us being like, this is, like, could tiptoe over the line, so just, like, erase it. So I just encourage that in the high school dancers too. If you feel like if you're questioning it, it's a no.
It's a no.
Yeah.
It's a no.
I say the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you're questioning. Oh, is this outfit too small?
Yeah,
it's inappropriate. It for sure is.
Probably small. Yeah. So we actually had an interesting conversation the other day at dinner that I think that even you were like kind of shocked at, because we were sitting with a few people from another college team, and we were talking about pay structure for the dancers on the team, and then the other school didn't pay their students, but I know that you guys do.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So we don't offer full ride scholarships, but first off, to be on the team, we're fully funded by athletics, so there is no expenses or nothing that the dancers or athletes have to pay to be on the team. So nationals fully funded. Everything that we do, any costumes we get, gear, everything is
Practice uniforms.
Yeah, everything. So there's nothing that is being paid out of pocket. The only thing that is your tuition, and obviously that's a whole different aspect of like out of state tuition and what that. So we try as best as possible, and what we are allowed as a university. We give like scholarships based on your year, so it increases as you go on the team, and that's it's a small help, but it's a help. And we also give per diem, so anytime the girls are there when school is not in and we're at practice, they're getting paid for meals, or we're providing them meals, so they're not having to pay that out of pocket, as well as during national season, so they're getting per diem for that, because obviously school is not in. Any nationals trips that we go to, we just went to like a camp retreat, and the girls just get per diem to pay for food. Honestly, you don't even have to pay for food. You can literally save up your money. One girl bought an iPad once because she saved up all her money for 4 years. So however you want to do it, but
they get priority for things like picking their classes.
Yeah, priority registration. I mean, we have great benefits, which we're very blessed to. We have access to an athletic trainer who gets them into doctor's appointments anytime they're sick, needs to see, something is hurting, they need surgery, stuff like that. Like, we have resources for them, so they're being well taken care of. So I think that's important, especially when you're sending your child away to, another state or college in general, knowing that they're well taken care of and their health is that main priority. That's something we're super passionate about. Strength coach, training them, making sure that they have the necessary foundation to actually be as athletic as we're asking them to be. And then
do you guys do they get to take class? Like, is there like technique classes or other classes like that is part of being on the team?
Yeah, so we bring people in kind of just like periodically and as we see fit. If there's an opening for someone to come in, we'll definitely find somebody to come and teach a master class, or come teach technique, come teach ballet, whatever, hip hop, whatever style it is. As much as we can train them, I feel like that's because, again, on those dance teams, you're very focused on cleaning, but they still have to train. They still, I mean, especially once you get to that age, it's very important. They're coming from studio dancing every day and training every day and literally dancing till 10 o'clock at night. Like, if we stop that, you can tell. And you can tell that there's kind of like a lack of technique or movement quality, or even their confidence when the choreographers are coming in. So
they have to be disciplined in taking outside classes on their own.
Absolutely.
Which is something that some of them are not. Like, it's hard when you're dancing and practicing and stuff. Go take a ballet class, or go on my own, take, a jazz or hip hop class. That's hard. Yeah.
We're really fortunate. We have that studio that I teach at, Therese. The girls will go take class there. And so they get to, go in there. They get to just dance around if they want to, but we definitely do try to keep up technique. And whether it's Candace and I teaching or somebody's coming in, we definitely during the spring, that's our prime training. The girls teach each other. That's really fun to watch too, because a lot of them are coming into their own. Is they love choreography. That's also a completely different passion of and a route to go to after school too, or while they're in school, and just starting to choreograph for teams. And I think a lot of them share that passion. We have a choreography team that makes up our timeouts and our half times and stuff like that. So they get to kind of start that part of their career as well with us, is starting to figure out how to choreograph, because that's a definite interest of a lot of the girls as well.
Yeah. Is that how you started, was doing it there?
I did. I started that kind of like my sophomore year, and that's when Carson started her apprentice program for Tribe. So Kalia and I joined after that, and definitely my love for choreography started, and I got the opportunities to start that on Tiger Girls. So that's something I was always really grateful for, because obviously I'm still doing it today. So it's worked out.
So can you talk to us a little bit about NILs and what it represents and how it can help students financially?
Yes, that is also a definite way that I feel like our athletes right now, and something that I didn't have. So it's cool to see, how it's moving into that. And that was something we didn't necessarily have access to quite yet. So after I graduated, it was allowed for Tiger Girls to participate in that, which was so amazing for them to be able to do that. So a lot of our girls, that's honestly, they do a lot of brand deals, and people reach out to them personally. For the most part, I feel like, companies will reach out to the girls directly, but we also have things that, go through the NIL program, and they go through our NIL section of our school, and then they kind of send that offer to us, and we sometimes get to pick, or if somebody really applies to what a company is needing, we kind of place as fit. But yeah, they do really well off of that, and it's so cool to see, because not only are they growing obviously their name, image, likeness, but they're also getting rewarded for it, and kind of essentially using that money to help them with whether it's rent, school, just day to day. It's cool that they get that opportunity to make a little bit of extra money by doing that.
Because not every school offers that. Mm-hmm. A lot of schools don't allow it. So it's cool that you guys do, and that the dancers have that opportunity. So.
Yeah, and now I know it's being a little bit more regulated than it was before. Mm-hmm. But I know that now colleges are actually allowing them, because there was a long time where some kids couldn't even participate in that. They couldn't wear... if they were on a team, they couldn't wear their team uniform because the school wouldn't allow them. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting that it's evolving. So if they do it as a team and it goes through the school, does that go into athletics, or does it still go directly to the girls, and then it's able to be divided equally?
Yeah. So it just kind of depends, I feel on what the opportunity is, but a lot of those opportunities, it will go to the athlete, because they're, giving their time, and it's them at the end of the day. They are the Tiger Girls. They make up the program. So for the most part, it's them. They did a Mardi Gras ball, and that came through the school, and so they all got paid for going and dancing at a Mardi Gras ball, or throwing parade, they're in a parade and they're on a float, and doing just fun stuff like that. So it does typically go to the athlete, so it's helpful for them to have that extra money.
That's great.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about you and choreography. So you've been choreographing for a little while. So do you do it directly through Tribe? And if somebody wants to hire you, that's how they would find you?
Yes. So I've been with Tribe, I can't ever remember, 5 or 6 years or something. I'm I don't even know.
Long time.
I don't even know. But yes, so that is essentially an agency that it's run through. So if somebody is interested in having, me do choreography, then they would go through Tribe, and or just sometimes people are interested in Tribe, and our people who are working on that back end are looking to see okay, Londyn would be a good fit with this school. So sometimes we get paired up. Sometimes they're oh, this person requested you. So yeah, that is all of my choreo jobs do go through Tribe. So
if somebody wanted to hire you, they would contact, it's Choreo Connect that they would go to, or Tribe 99 Choreo Connect section.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So kids who don't, they don't really know what to do, but they want to find out about LSU and you guys' clinics. How do they find out about getting, to the clinics? Yeah. And how do they find out about attending one of the Tribe events? So that way they get noticed in either one.
Yeah. Social media, I feel is the best way. Specifically, I feel for both Tiger Girls and Tribe, very active on just promoting their events and making sure that people are, knowing registration date and where and how and things like that. So we always post when our clinic is going to be, and then we keep posting registrations opening in this amount of days, So for the most part, these events are filling up quick, because they're so hot commodity right now. So I would say you got to be urgent, you got to be quick with it, because they will fill up, and then that's kind of pretty unfortunate when you wanted to go to something and it's it was a time issue that you didn't get there quick enough. So definitely be like up to date on social media to see when something's either, tribe event coming near you, or is there an opportunity for you to get over to a clinic or things like that. See what's possible for you in comparison to the events that are coming up. Because for us, I know we have 2 clinics in the fall and then 1 in the spring. So there's definitely opportunities, and we definitely post about them. They're on our website. You can email me. A lot of kids, I'm on my email a lot, so I definitely communicate a lot with the athletes. So any questions that they have, they can definitely reach out to me. Honestly, if it's about LSU or Tribe, I feel like ambassador for both at this point. I'm like, just get everywhere, and Tribe's so great of an opportunity because so many of the teams that these kids want to be on, there's either instructors or people tied to so many programs. So I feel like if they can kind of get in there and get in front of even like alumni from the program, or everybody talks, so it's just like as many people as can have your name in their mouth in the best way possible. Like, I feel like that is the key, is like, oh, did you see about this one? Like, college coaches talk, choreographers talk, the whole dance world is so small. So I feel like as many events as you can get to just train and kind of show your interest in the program that you are, dreaming to be on. I feel like it's just it's so rewarding when you have like a solid recruit and you hear, 3 other coaches being like, oh, that is, she's a great girl. Like, she came to our clinic. Like, having people have that positive talk about an athlete just reaffirms, like, okay, I want this girl on my team. Like, she's a hot commodity. All these 3 kids, or all these 3 teams want her. Like, we're gonna get her.
Oh no, I'm getting her now.
So as a recruit, what do you think is the number one thing that stands out for you as somebody who is doing the recruiting? Because I think that a lot of dancers ask all the time, how can I stand out? How can I make my mark? How do I get noticed? So what do you think is like a general quality that you seem to find in your top recruits?
Yeah, I think, and it's going to sound, again, generic, but we always say, like, the star quality. Like, you could look at every single person on our team, and we say you can toss them out in a dance battle, and they will show up, because it's something that, like, turns on in these dancers that, like, they turn into, like, not even themselves. Like, that's how confident they are, and that's how much they, like, genuinely love dance, and it's, like, it comes out in their dancing. So I feel like it's just having that star quality of, like, how do you stand out and be different than the 200 other people in the room? That's not by standing in the back corner. That's not by, having basic training. Like, it's the kids who, like, train and they put themselves in those high pressure situations. So when it comes time to going to a clinic or going to an event that, like, the pressure is on and there's college coaches watching you, you're going to show up and you're going to show, like, your best. And it's, like, undeniable that girl is, like, the best one in the room. So I feel like those are kind of the people that we, like, your eye goes to them, and it's like, okay, that's what it takes to, like, be on this team and to be successful on this team. I feel like, too, like, coming on a team is one thing, but, like, there's so much growth that still happens in those next 4 years. So, like, having that growth mentality of, like, continuing to just get better year after year and not just, like, stopping once it, like, comes to making the team, or, not stopping that momentum of, like, continue to just get better and strive to be the best person in the room. I feel like those qualities in a person just stand out naturally and make you, like, a more alive person. We like to have fun. So it's like, be a fun person to be around, be a good human. That can come out really quickly. Like, we see all the little things, and in between classes, like, those, we all pay attention to those things. So, like, being a genuinely just, like, fun human to be around, because we don't do the drama. Like, we don't do the, like, catty, be jealous of this and this and this. Like, it's genuinely what you feel when you come to our clinics, of the support and the love and the sisterhood. Like, that follows through day to day. 7 a.m. practice or 11 p.m. practice. Like, the girls are the same. They're best friends, supportive. Like, we are family in there. So someone who's just going to add to that. Like, and I think that's nice. Like, we can kind of get a feel for who they are as people too. And having the right personality matters. And having, we have shy people, we have outgoing people, but, like, I feel like what kind of is the common denominator in all of them is they're just fun, good people to be around. Fills your cup every time. It's not draining.
And I think kids forget sometimes that to stand out, it doesn't necessarily mean get your
Show
leg
off.
behind your head or, like, do 17 backflips. Sometimes it's the kid that doesn't have those things, but just goes out, performs, and like outperforms
Absolutely.
everybody in the room.
Yeah.
So
Well, I
like
think it's
finding your niche is important.
Yeah, look at the girls on the team too. Like, we have a lot of girls who can't put their leg behind their head, but they will eat when it comes to doing, you know, movement or like just literally standing there and performing. Like, they can stand there and make everyone be like, oh gosh, like that's how confident
Makes
they
me
are.
wanna dance like that.
And I'm like, that's the kind of, you know, again, if you're not the leggiest person, you're probably not going to change that in the next couple of years. Like, flexibility is God-given, and thank God for those who are, but those who aren't, like, find, like you're saying, find your niche, find what you're good at, and like hone in on that. And that is, like, again, your star quality to be like, this is what I'm going to, you know, hone in on to show that this is why you need me on your team.
Absolutely.
I agree. And there's also like a really fine line between being confident and being cocky.
Yeah.
And I think dancers sometimes they don't know, you know, where to step back. So what do you think? Like, if you see a dancer is constantly putting themselves in the front and they're trying to show off too much, is that too much for you? Or do you rather have that than have, you know, somebody who is like gives other kids opportunity?
I think there's a balance. I think, to me, when it comes to like that 1-day clinic or the 3-day clinics or whenever you have that opportunity to dance in front of a college coach, that's not necessarily your time to be super humble. Obviously, like, a good person, but when you're dancing, like, again, and Carson honed in a lot on this on our Miami tour, it's like we can't see you all the way in the back. So it's like you're kind of doing yourself a disservice if you're constantly putting yourself there, because you're not even forced to be, like, you feel like you're hiding. So it's like something about like being in front of everybody, and like, at least me, I'm like, I'm gonna turn it on, I'm gonna reach a little further, I'm gonna go a little harder. Like, having that performance quality of like knowing how to turn it on, I feel like there's not necessarily like too much like being seen. I think there's a small window, whether you're there for a day, a class, whatever it is, like, to make yourself seen. So a lot of times kids will go unnoticed, and it's like she was there, but it's like we didn't even see her because she wasn't, you know, putting herself in a place where not necessarily do you have to get in front of everybody and be super like, you know, selfish about your space, but definitely put yourself in a place where you're going to be seen, and then be humble after the combo ends. Be your most humble self.
Well, I feel like that authenticity also kind of reads in a dancer. Like,
absolutely,
I feel like you could see right through the dancer that's just like trying to look like if they're really, you know, nice, but they're, you know, you can also kind of see through that, I feel, as you start seeing more kids. But I think at the end of the day, like, find the moments where if you need to be in the back, maybe, you know, you couldn't get there, get there, but then that next round you better push yourself to the front. Like, you need to be at least seen 3-4 times before you leave those clinics.
Absolutely. And honestly, once you catch the coaches or the teacher or whoever's teaching up there, once you catch their attention and they're like, oh, I'm interested, like, then I feel like, you know, you can kind of pop to the side, or, you know, spread the wealth a little bit. But like, if you don't feel like you're getting that attention, we can all kind of read the room as dancers, I feel, to see like if someone's looking, you know, like, wait till you kind of catch their attention. And if you have, then I feel like you can kind of like explore like different avenues, because it can get a little bit redundant, the same people. So it's just kind of about reading the room. So I think it takes a smart dancer. We love smart dancers around here, like reading social cues and context clues, like, that is a must in this world, just because you have to think on your feet so quickly. So we love dancers that are like aware and can be like, oh, okay, they get it. Like, we don't have to even take time on it because they're ready. I think that's a thing too, is like, we don't have time to like make you into something else. Like, the people who can pop right on the team and fit right in, like, dancing wise, personality wise, like kindness wise, like, we're like, okay, we're set, you're gonna fit in well here and you're gonna thrive. Because we don't want anyone coming that is not going to like be the best version of themselves.
No, and be good for the team. You want them to be good, you know, for your entire group.
Absolutely.
So. So for a dancer who's interested, when do you think that they should start already looking? Should they start as early as freshman year? Is junior year too late? Like, what do you think is the right timeline?
I think freshman year is a good time. I would say, like, to be like, okay, college dance, this is something I want to do. Great. Let's start seeing, you know, couple schools that maybe pique my interest. Start watching like videos and old past videos, kind of where the programs have come from. Like, do your research, I would say, starting around your freshman year, like entering, especially because, you know, most of these kids are starting to like be on these highly competitive dance teams. Like, you're already kind of in that world. So you kind of hear the talk of like, oh, okay, this, maybe I'd be a good fit here. That's like your questioning year, I feel like, to start being like, where could I be a great asset to? Then sophomore year, I feel like is, you know, freshman year you can start going to, you know, a few clinics, but I wouldn't say it's like necessary, like you're there every single one, and if you miss, it's detrimental. Like, kind of just being casual about it, seeing what you like, seeing where you feel like you would be, you know, a good fit.
Start narrowing down.
Yeah. And then sophomore year, I would say definitely starting to hit those clinics. I think sophomore years is, junior year I feel like can be too late sometimes. Sophomore year, you're still like early enough to where you don't feel stressed, and you can tell the dancers that feel stressed when they come to these clinics. So like giving yourself that amount of time, even if you're not sure if that's the exact avenue that you want to go to, just like putting yourself in those environments, I think around that sophomore year mark is kind of a good time to do that. Junior year, I feel like we definitely need to start narrowing it down to like my top like 3 to 4, you know, maybe 5. Clinics are expensive. Going places is expensive. So I think, you know, we talk about not putting all your eggs in one basket, but they also don't need to be in 20 baskets. You don't need to be going to each and every, and that's kind of, I wouldn't say off-putting as a coach too, but, you know, there's definitely a right way to do it. Not going to every single, like knowing, okay, I'd be a good fit here, let me go see here. Sometimes I feel like we see kids going to like all of these clinics, and it's like, if that works for you, yeah, great, you're getting the training, but not exactly necessary, I feel like, because I feel like by that junior year, you would want to kind of know, okay, this
top
kid's,
3, top
this
4.
kid's kind of interested in my program and not just like be bopping around trying to be in everybody's, you know, on everybody's radar. And then by senior year, going into the senior year, I feel like that's when you kind of have to have that, like, I definitely, like, this is my top school, and if this doesn't work out, and kind of comparing the processes and the timelines, because I feel like that's like one of the most confusing parts about recruitment in general is it's getting more streamlined now, I feel like, with this common dance. But kind of even after the first round, everybody's round 2 and beyond is kind of different, like when they actually make offers and stuff like that. And that's kind of like internal information that I don't think that a lot of outside people know, but just kind of gauging, you know, when teams are posting like their official rosters and stuff like that, like knowing that, you know, one school may have a way earlier process than this school. So maybe if this is my first school, I'm going to definitely put my eggs in, you know, main eggs in this basket. But like, if for some reason this doesn't work out, like I have also 1 or 2 backups that like I can definitely see myself like potentially making that team too.
Yeah. Right. So, well, Londyn, it's been awesome having you here. I think that it's been great information for dancers. There's so many dancers who are interested in LSU, and, you know, that is their number one choice. So it is heartbreaking, I'm sure, as a coach to see these incredible dancers not be able to take all of them. Yeah. But, you know, you guys are doing an amazing job, and it's so nice to have had you here with us today.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you.
This was so fun.
Thanks. And to all of our viewers and everybody there, thank you so much for joining us today with Londyn.
And if you like what you heard, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube and follow us on Instagram. And if you have any questions or suggestions, make sure to click on our link tree in our bio and fill out our Google form.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.